Washington Blue Spring is an incredible first magnitude spring. Many people never get the chance to see it, and in fact the locals tell us don't give out exact directions for getting here because too many people will come and they'll spoil our beautiful spring.
It is cold. That hole is extremely deep, and the water pressure coming out just feels like the strongest fan or propeller. I don't even know how to explain it. It just pushes against you. I mean, you could feel it just pushing the mask against my face, and trying to dive down or trying to swim directly over it. I mean, it pushes you out of the way. It's a force coming out of the ground.
Prehistoric Native Americans lived around this spring for thousands of years. But by the time of the First Seminole War in 1817 and 1818, a Red Stick Creek chief, his name was Holmes, had come to live here. Some people think that Holmes Creek is named for him, and that is certainly a possibility. He located his village just upstream from the spring on what is now Holmes Creek. Soldiers came, they attacked his people. There were battles fought nearby. His fields, which extended all the way up into an area called Holmes Valley, were destroyed, and his village was burned. Following those attacks on Chief Holmes, the first settlers came into the area. They began to clear fields, they began to build homes, they began to occupy what had been the Native American fields and lands. They built a fort here at what they called the Choctawhatchee Big Spring, or the Big Spring of the Choctawhatchee. It was a blockhouse and a stockade they could run into if the Native Americans came to attack them. And they also built another one at the north end of Holmes Valley near what is now Moss Hill Church. Many people do not know it, but when Jackson County was formed in 1822, this was part of Jackson County. It extended from the Choctawhatchee River all the way to the Suwannee River. And the second meeting of the courts of Jackson County took place here at Choctawhatchee Blue Spring. This was one of the early county seats of Jackson County. It later was used as a meeting site when Washington County was formed, until the permanent county seat was formed in Holmes Valley and then moved to Vernon. Later, of course, it was moved to Chipley. The spring is in its wild state. You have to take a boat to get up here. You can't reach it by land. You can paddle up, but it's an impressive paddle if you want to try to get here. But it's a beautiful spot, and underneath is just incredible.
You could dive down there. You could be in this run for hours. I mean, you could be in here for all day and just not look at the same spot. This would be perfect for diving down and kind of hanging out in the hole in the cave, and this entire creek run out to the river is clear and just gorgeous. So you could dive the whole thing too.
The water out here is so much colder than the air temperature that literally it's in this little hole that we're in, you don't feel the same humidity that you do when you get up on higher ground. It's because the spring itself, the water cools the air around it, and you get a cool breeze off of it. I like to camp off of the creek bank because it's always 10 degrees cooler right next to the spring water.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I know how the springs work, but I mean, this is a pretty intense one. This pushing some serious water out of this spring, and this is one of the deepest holes that I've seen personally. And I grew up in Florida, so I've seen a lot of deep springs, but this is a deep one. I mean, it's way down there. I don't know if somebody could free dive down there, like to the bottom of that hole. Yeah, I highly doubt it.
I'm Crystal Gainey.
And I'm Lindsay Kiefer.
We're Antlered Doe Outdoors.
And you've been watching 2 Egg TV.